You know, the most painful thing to me about our politics today is that all moral issues are determined by whataboutism, right? So you can excuse any behavior simply by saying, well, what about her emails or what about Hunter Biden and stuff? At some point, we got to stop doing that, right? Because we don't accept that as a way of thinking morally from our toddlers, right? 4-year-olds don't get to smack their sister because, well, what about when she did it last week? And I mean, it's painful to me for two reasons. Number one, look, it's an obvious scam. And the little devil that's there on my shoulder says, look, if you're going to buy a Trump meme coin, you're going to deserve what is coming. But we're actually engaged in a serious effort, and we don't know how this is going to play out. We're actually engaged in a serious effort in the Congress right now to try to build the regulatory structure that will allow for cryptocurrencies and crypto assets and blockchain generally to innovate. And it does that effort absolutely no good to have obvious scams out there taking up
a lot of crypto people are really not happy about it.
Blockchain technology. If only this were really about crypto. This is about the privatization of the White House. This is about corruption. This is about using the White House to personally enrich yourself, which is illegal, which is immoral, which is inappropriate, which surely leads to corruption. Do we really think that everybody is just a fan of Trump and they don't have some actual thing they're trying? And this is not a right-left issue. I don't have any idea how the two of you will make some idea of like, well, this is actually okay because somehow some other Dem did it. This is not an ideological issue.
I don't want to do what the congressman just said we shouldn't do with the whataboutism, but Politico had an article that came out last year. President Biden had a bunch of donors at the White House and they wrote a bunch of big checks.
Nothing you say on this show doesn't include the word Biden. Do you have no critique for Trump?
I do want to address that because hold on a second, because there's a difference. I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but I think that there are differences between donors having too much access to the White House, which is one set of ethical issues, and the president's family profiting off of the president himself and the president participating.
Did. I'm not saying one
I think that's
wrong,
exactly what the congressman was saying.
Or more acceptable.
I think that's what the congressman was saying was that is the comparison that is probably the most apt. Do you agree?
So maybe the framing is in politics in general, to the congressman's point, we need to have some reforms. But to the blockchain technology.
But I mean, is it corrupt? Hold on. We're not talking about blockchain. Is it corrupt?
Yeah, but I want to bring it up because I'm fascinated. I invest in crypto.
Hold on. It's not a blockchain conversation. Go ahead.
You mentioned blockchain technology, so can I not bring up blockchain technology?
Trump is taking advantage of something even like broader narrative. The fact that the American people don't really understand crypto. They really don't understand the fact that there is no regulation for crypto, and that the one of the first acts of when Trump came in, he signed an executive order to prevent the SEC from regulating crypto. That he's taking advantage of that to find ways to profit from it, and that's very different than any other thing he could do. Everybody knew when he sent the government employees to go stay at the Trump Hotel. Oh yeah, that doesn't seem right. But this is different. This is actually something that's so much more sotto voce and under the radar.
I am one of those people who thinks that members of Congress, elected officials, cabinet people, et cetera, should not be able to trade stock based on insider trading laws, and I firmly believe that. That said, I looked for, in this New York Times article, what was the allegation of corruption, what was the crime that was being accused, and there wasn't something. Is it inappropriate? Maybe. You could argue that. But it's not illegal.
Maybe, Joe.
And I damn well will play whataboutism when you had a culture of corruption for 4 years that was so bad that the president's final act while he was gumming his eggs and his wife was doing the job was to pardon his entire family.
Because
so
he's
yes, I will
Trump
play. Yes, I will play whataboutism when the last president was so corrupt he had to pardon in advance his entire family.
Let me understand.
What was the crime?
Come on.
What is the crime here? What is the crime you're accusing President Trump of?
You cannot.
Is there a crime?
I think there probably
I'm not
is.
sure anybody has said
public office.
But that's the innuendo.
If you went out there with a meme coin,
that we're talking about.
No, this is something that only the president can do in virtue of his position. But again, we got to get off of the whataboutism, right? I mean, this goes back. Look, this goes back to Billy Carter. Every presidency has had family members try to profit off the president. But come on. There's no way you can look at the Trump administration and say that he's not, taken everything to 11.